Growth is the #1 mission of this new government. We want that growth to be felt more quickly by families up and down the country, which is why in our first week in government I set out an ambitious set of planning reforms and the creation of a national wealth fund. And it's why in my Mansion House speech last night I announced some of the biggest reforms of our pension system in a generation to unlock long-term patient capital up to £80 billion to help invest in small businesses and scale-up businesses and in the infrastructure needs. We're 4 months into this government. There's a lot more to do to turn around the growth performance of the last decade or so.
You talk a lot about the long term, but the short-term impacts also matters. Do you accept the assessment of the likes of the Office for Budget Responsibility and the Bank of England, as well as other forecasters, that the decision you've made to raise national insurance contributions to the extent that you have will weigh on economic growth in the coming years?
As the Governor of the Bank of England set out in his Mansion House speech last night, the decisions made by this government to unlock money for investing in infrastructure will help boost the supply side capacity, the growth potential of our country. That was one of the most important measures in the budget. But I've always been really honest and clear that we inherited a very difficult economic situation, public finances in a dire state, and we had to take a number of difficult decisions on spending, on welfare and on tax in the budget to put our public finances back on a firm footing. We have now done that. We've wiped the slate clean, drawn a line under 14 years of economic chaos and mismanagement so that businesses and families can now plan with confidence for the future. But you have to have that stability in the public finances, because when you lose control of the public finances, interest rates, mortgage rates go through the roof, as we experienced in the last Parliament.
But Chancellor, pubs, restaurants, cafes, supermarkets, nurseries, hospices, they are all saying that they're either going to have to let go of workers or curtail their pay. As a Labour Chancellor, are you prepared for unemployment to rise on your watch?
If you look at the forecast from the Office for Budget Responsibility, taking into account all of the measures in the budget last month, they forecast that unemployment falls, employment increases and household disposable incomes increase during the course of this Parliament. That's when you take into account all the measures in the budget. We had to take difficult decisions on spending, welfare and taxation, because the alternative was allowing public finances to continue unchecked, to get out of control like they did under the last Conservative government. I was not willing to take that risk with the public finances, because when you play fast and loose with the public finances, it is ordinary working families and businesses that pay the price. Our public finances are now on a firm footing because of the decisions that I made in the budget. And as I set out in the Mansion House speech last night, the focus is now on growing the economy, working in partnership with business to unlock the huge potential that we have as a country. My confidence in Britain has never burned brighter. There are huge opportunities, whether it's here at Tokamak Energy or at Quell Therapeutics, where I was earlier in this week. But what those businesses need is stability and investment, public and private, to realise the huge growth potential that we have as a country. And that's what this government are focused on.
But what those businesses are also telling us, and you will have heard the warnings from Sainsbury's and Marks and Spencer's over the past couple of weeks, is that prices might have to rise as a result of the increase in national insurance contributions. Do you accept that some of your budget measures are inflationary?
If you look at the forecasts, both from the Monetary Policy Committee last week and the Office of Budget Responsibility 2 weeks ago, they have inflation falling over the course of this Parliament. That is a world away from the last Parliament.
Than it would have done.
Well, it's a world away from the last Parliament, where inflation peaked at more than 11%. Inflation in this Parliament is set to continue on a downward path, reaching target by the end of this Parliament. And that's really important, because when you lose control of the public finances, inflation and interest rates go through the roof. That's what happened in the last Parliament. I won't take those risks, which is why I made a number of difficult decisions in the budget last month to put our public finances on a firm footing so that we can grow our economy and provide that stability that is the foundation for a strong economy and good for business.
And just finally, we're talking to businesses all the time that they say to us they have 3 options available to them. They can reduce their headcount as a result of your NICs increases, they can raise prices, or they can take a smaller profit. Which one do you suggest they do?
It's up to businesses to make decisions about how they run their businesses. I know that many businesses are focused all the time on improving productivity and efficiency, and I've no doubt that the ingenuity of business will ensure that we can get through this. But the truth is, the alternative was allowing public finances to get out of control, like they did under the last government. And it's businesses that pay the price for that too, when interest rates and mortgage rates go through the roof, when working people have less money to spend in the shops, and when the borrowing costs of businesses go through the roof. I was not willing to take that risk. It did require difficult choices, but we've now drawn a line under the economic chaos and mismanagement of the previous government. This was a once-in-a-parliament budget to wipe the slate clean. We've done that now, and working together with business, I'm determined to unlock the growth opportunities of our country.